that help us make this possible. And so in 19 years, we've raised $13.9 million and given out and returned $13.9 million to our communities. Organizations that do HIV education, prevention, and treatment that don't benefit from our event have an opportunity through something we call the 10% Lifeline. And they can apply for funding throughout our state for HIV programs and initiatives. And there's parts of our state that are less funded. If you go, the further north you go, the more conservative you get, the more we deal with the churches. Disproportionately in the Black community, disproportionately in the Latin American community, where stigma still is a huge issue. And so they're not getting those funds. And so if we can get money into Gainesville and Jacksonville and Tallahassee, those are the places that really need the money. But it's so far from where we are right now, they're not full beneficiaries. But we've given out money to all these to organizations to make sure that everyone in our state gets a fair chance to try to make a difference and keep people healthy and eradicate this disease.
How important is this to you? How important is this event to you?
This is extremely important to me. In 1993, I was diagnosed with full-blown AIDS. I had 7 T cells. I was told, and my parents were told, that I was going to not live more than 10 days. For whatever reason, for whatever blessing that there is, I survived the worst of this disease. I had a really bad 94, 95, 96. But I'm here today thanks to the miracle of a lot of medications. And I'm standing here undetectable with a healthy immune system, but you have to take your pills every day. And because I got it so early on, we did a lot of medications that had side effects. I take 13 pills a night for side effects to the fact that I am HIV or I have AIDS. So to me, this event is very important. It's also personal to me because I feel like I survived and I needed to make a difference. I needed to give back and I had to have a sense of purpose. And it was my way of trying to figure out how I survived and others didn't, that there was a reason. So I am very blessed and this event is so important to me. And the riders and participants are family. Once a year we get together and it's like old home week. It's a private club that unless you're on it, you don't really understand. And when I see some of these faces, if it's not for this ride, I wouldn't know them. We live in different parts of the country, in different parts of the world. We have about 30 states represented on the ride this year. They're coming from as far away as Wisconsin, Washington State, New York City, New Jersey, Atlanta. We've got people from all over, and some folks this year out of Canada.
Wow. How many participants do you think you got today?
We're going to have about 600 plus or minus participants this morning. This year's a little smaller than last year. I think the combination of the economy, 3 years of COVID, exhaustion, and just our politics and everything has really distracted people this year. I think people who could gave as much as they could, but at this point, after 3 years of COVID and giving to everyone to make sure that they would be okay, we feel a little bit of that on us. But next year's our 20th anniversary. We've got an incredible goal for next year. I know it'll be our biggest ride. So many people that have ridden before that are reaching that point where they're like me, where we've been doing this fight for 40 years. We started out in our 20s. I'm in my 60s and single. I'm in my 60s, and there's a point where we age out. And so we need to pass the torch on to a younger generation. And we've engaged with our benefiting agencies, a lot of youth. We've got folks on here that are helping us that are 23 years old. And those are the guys that have to carry that torch forward. So the 20th anniversary will probably be a great torch passing moment for us as we reach that milestone and raise even more money to make a difference.
Wow.
Did I do okay?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Way to go. Way to go. Way to go. So give me a quick rundown what we're doing today.
So good morning. We are good morning and welcome to the Smart Ride. This is our 19th annual bicycle ride from Miami to Key West to raise money and awareness for HIV and AIDS throughout Florida. You know, Florida still remains one of the highest rated locations for new cases. Surprisingly, the ones getting infected at the highest rate are 13 to 23-year-olds, which should surprise everyone. Young youth don't understand how severe HIV and AIDS can be, and they take a little bit of that, which we all did when we were teenagers, thinking we're invincible. We recently had, in the last probably 6 months, 6 people, one of them last week under the age of 34 who passed from HIV and AIDS, because he stopped taking his medication and thought he'd be fine. And we haven't seen people with lesions and the things that we saw that were so horrific in the 1980s happening, but it is happening now, and it's important to have the dialogue, to talk about HIV and AIDS, to say the word, because it's still out there. It's just no one talks about it anymore. And unfortunately, our school system teaches abstinence and not much else, so it makes it harder for our kids and youth to be prepared for what's ahead. But the event itself, it benefits 6 principal HIV/AIDS organizations throughout the state of Florida: AH of Monroe, Pride Lines in Miami, Broward House in Fort Lauderdale, Compass in West Palm Beach, Miracle of Love in Orlando, and EPIC, which is Empath Health in Tampa, St. Pete. Each one of those agencies will benefit from this ride. And what makes this ride so unique is that 100% of every dollar that these participants raise is guaranteed to go back to the AIDS service organizations. We don't use 1 penny of that money to produce this event. We're able to do it because of our organizations like our title sponsor, CAN Community Health, that help us make this possible. And so in 19 years, we've raised $13.9 million and given out and returned $13.9 million to our communities. Organizations that do HIV education, prevention, and treatment that don't benefit from our event have an opportunity through something we call the 10% Lifeline. And they can apply for funding throughout our state for HIV programs and initiatives. And there's parts of our state that are less funded. If you go, the further north you go, the more conservative you get, the more we deal with the churches. Disproportionately in the Black community, disproportionately in the Latin American community, where stigma still is a huge issue, and so they're not getting those funds. And so if we can get money into Gainesville and Jacksonville and Tallahassee, those are places that really need the money, but it's so far from where we are right now, they're not full beneficiaries. But we've given out money to all these to organizations to make sure that everyone in our state gets a fair chance to try to make a difference and keep people healthy and eradicate this disease.
How important is this to you? How important is this event to you?
This is extremely important to me. In 1993, I was diagnosed with full-blown AIDS.
My name is Chris Bundy, C-H-R-Y-S. Bundy is B-U-N-D-Y.
Give a little brief on that, what you guys doing today, what's happening?
Okay, so today is the 19th Smart Ride. It's a 165-mile ride from Miami to Key West, raising money for HIV care across the state of Florida. Every dollar raised stays right here in the state.
Wow, how important, how many years you been riding?
So this is my 4th year, but we have Joe Harwitz on the team. This is his, I believe, 17th or 18th ride. He's been here since the beginning.
Wow, how important is it for you to join these guys who do it?
It's very important. So HIV still affects our community by and large more than any other demographic in the country, and it hasn't gone away. It's become more treatable, but we can't forget that people die from it every day, and we're here to make sure that they get the health care and the housing they need.
Wow, how many guys you got riding in your team today?
We have 15 guys on the team today.
Wow. What's the name of the team?
So we are Team Active Hearts. We are out of St. Pete and Tampa, Florida.
Wow.